You're listening to the New Story podcast from New Story Church in Kansas City. To learn more about New Story Church, visit our website at www.newstory.church.
Welcome, everybody, to the Equip Podcast, equipping you to live out your Christian life as you faithfully love God and love others with truth and grace. I'm Jeremy, one of the pastors here. I do a lot with our students, our creative team, and a little under the weather right now. So if my voice does not sound smooth and silky, I apologize. I'm powering through. But I wanted to power through because I have an opportunity to talk with someone really special. And I have sitting across from me right now, it's not Pierce or Dennis or any usual suspects. It's actually April Parks. Say hey.
Hi there.
She waved in case she waved to the listeners. You've been here at New Story for a while now, huh? About
4.5, almost 5. It's about to be 5 years.
Okay, so you came in 2020 then?
2020, yep.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that we're doing this year, as a part of our kind of 2025 vision of hopefully seeing 10 new families connect in here, 10 baptisms and 10 discipleships. The power of story is the language of insiders and outsiders in the church. We love stories. We love hearing stories, and so. I want to have people like yourself on here to talk about your story and share your story because I think it's important and valuable.
Thank you.
So just to jump in, tell me a little bit about yourself right now. You're married.
Yeah, just recently married, almost a year now, in July. I am happy, actually.
Well, I hope so.
I am happy. Like, there's bumps in the roads, but after hearing my life story today, it'll be more understanding of how I'm able to find peace even in the now.
For sure.
Find peace and joy in whatever situations that I'm going through at the moment, too. So now I'm just taking it day by day. Staying in my prayer lane, keeping my Bible open. Yeah, it is important, guys, to keep your Bible open. Yeah. Keeping my Bible open as much as I can, and then just persevering. Yeah. And I would say that I can admit to being totally different than what I used to be. It's like a whole 360, and I give that all to the grace of God because that's all I can do.
Yeah. This is beautiful. And you have 3 beautiful little girls.
I love them. Yep.
How old?
One is turning 14 in May. God help us all.
14?
14.
Goodness gracious.
And she seems like it's time for a driver's ed. I am not ready.
Yeah. That's going to get wild.
I'm not ready. I'm like, should I pay somebody else? No. Okay. But I have one's about to be 14, one just turned 11, and one just turned 9 in February. Yeah. So I have big girls now, not little ones.
Yeah, I know.
And they are my joy. Every step that I took is for them to get to here. But they are some good girls.
It's weird to think that they were 5 years younger when they came here.
I know.
That's weird to think about.
It's weird to think about that. I've been here for 5 years.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, almost 5. That's nuts. So maybe share a little bit of that. How did you end up, because it was I have pictures from the first Sunday you came, because I think it was we do this thing every year, back to school Sunday where we have like ice cream outside, I think that was the Sunday you came, and I have pictures of you talking with Jen, our Kid Story leader or director. And I think that was the first Sunday you ever came.
I think
if I remember right.
I remember.
So how did you stumble upon New Story? Like, how'd you end up coming through the doors here?
Ooh, that's a rough story. Well,
I know that's a lot.
It is. A lady had called me one day. Actually, my family was in a situation, and there was a detective that worked on my case that helped me through it when I moved down here to Kansas. And she had got interviewed by a journalist, and the journalist asked her, out of everyone, she's been in that field for like 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And out of everyone, out of 30 plus years that you have worked with, who sticks out to you the most? Who do you believe has a better story that you believe in that can bring their life around, turn their life around, something like that? And she name-bombed me. And so so the journalist reached out to me for the newspaper, and she did a paper on me, and after hearing the story and asking questions and things, she was like, oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I have a church for you, and this is my church. I really believe that you will fit in. For some reason, my spirit is just telling me to tell you to go to this church. And that was her words. Leah, I love you. But that was her words. And I was like, okay. And what's bumpy about it is that she's a journalist, so she traveled a lot. And we couldn't find like time to go together. And it was,
Go to church together, you're saying? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So 6 months had passed after that. In that interview where we were supposed to go to church like Sunday. 6 months had passed, and for some reason it popped in my mind like I told Leah, you might not be here, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and go to New Story and check it out. I'm looking for a church, and I believe that, you know, if you had a lot of faith in it, I'm gonna try it. And it was the first church down here of trying. So because I had a church in Texas that I stuck with for a very long time, but this was my first time trying to go to another church. So I came, and that day, all I would say is that Aaron's first words was, I am so sorry, you guys, for coming. This will not be the service that you think you were walking into. I'm talking to my congregation, but thank you for coming. And then I seen this man pour his heart out to the congregation, and I'm like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen someone so open to their church, and as a leader, look so normal and look human up there, speaking to the congregation. A pastor looking so humanized to me. Yeah, and I was like, I like this.
That's different. Yeah, I can relate to this guy. Yeah. So that's awesome. And so your first experience here was good. Yeah. Now you said, which is great. I'm thankful that, you know, you visited here 1 week and you've been since, you know. But you came from Texas. I know you said there was a case. You don't necessarily have to get into anything. I don't even know what you can get into.
About my story. That's what I'm here for.
But how'd you end up in Kansas?
So, well, my ex-husband, we were separated and going through a divorce, and he was like, for you know, a last try or anything like that, let's separate from my family and his family. His family was more involved than my own, but they was like, let's separate from my family and everything and try things new. Well, I had already filed for divorce and everything, but I was like, you know, we can try. It's been 11 years, but I can try this last. But funny story, he ended up, his job told him that they needed him. He was a supervisor. They needed him for an extra 2 months. So the time that I had to move down here, I ended up moving here 2 months ahead of him into a house and everything. Yeah. And from then on, probably after me and the kids living without him for a month, I had informed him, you know, I wanted to still move forward with that divorce at the time, because I felt me and the kids were happy. We were peaceful. We were not walking on eggshells anymore and not scared to be ourselves anymore. And I asked the kids, you know, if they were, usually I don't talk to them about grown-up things, but I wanted to get their perspective of them understanding the situation that's going on between us. And they were okay with that. And so after telling him that, we did our separation. But what 6 years, what ended up happening is that he didn't take that very well. And he snuck into the house, because it was with me and his house at first. But when I told him the landlord changed my name only to the deed and things like that, we were just going to move forward from there since he was still in Texas. he drove all the way from Texas to Kansas in the middle of the night, and there was an attack in the situation. And he threatened one of my daughters. I called the police. And then from there on, they took statements, and after speaking with the children, they took them in.
Wow.
Yeah. So I ended up they asked me that I wanted to stay or leave, and it's very funny, and God is in this situation as well, so I don't mind sharing this story so I can tell everybody how great God is. But for no reason, I had no reason to stay. I had no reason to choose to stay in Kansas. I could have just went home. My family was telling me to come home. My friends, everyone's like, come home. You don't know anybody in Kansas. He's locked up. We don't know what would happen anymore. And I was like, no, I can do it. And at this time, after that situation house, now I don't have a house. I don't have a car. I went to court. They gave him the car. So, yeah, didn't have a house, didn't have a car, didn't even have a job at the time. And now let's fast forward a month. I have a house, I have a car. I have an apartment, I have a car, and I have a job. CPS calls me. And I spoke with this lady maybe a couple of times, and she came over. And this is how oblivious I was about the situation. She tells me, April, I'm going to tell you, and I have goosebumps popping up. She's like, I didn't want to tell you this before, but she's like, now that I'm closing the case, I'm like, closing the case? What's going on? Yeah. She was like, now that I'm closing the case, that night when we took your ex-husband to jail, we were supposed to take your kids away from you. The kids were supposed to go into the system.
Oh.
For not him, but not for you, but for him endangering a child. And she said, I took your kids that day when we took you guys to go for an investigation, the very next day, and we separated you separated each child in one room, and you by yourself. And she was like, even though you had a lot to say about the situation, she said, after speaking to all the girls, we could tell how much that they love you, that you were the prominent parent and everything. She was like, when I asked them about who did their homework, they said their mom. Who took them to school and picked them up, they said their mom. Who did the cooking, the cleaning, their mom. Every question, any memory they had was about their mom. And she was like, she said, we felt like since you were the dominant parent that we didn't want to take them away from you.
Yeah, why would it make sense to pull the kids away from?
Yeah. But they said that, but at the same time, after a week later, you didn't have a house, you didn't have a car. Y'all was basically homeless with no job, anything. So we were still supposed to take the kids away from you. But she said probably a week and a half later, you called me, boom, you got a job. And then maybe in like a week after that, boom, someone out of the blue just gave you a car. And then after that, and it was like a place called Hearts or
Hillcrest?
Heart to Heart. Hillcrest is the one that helped me with the getting a place that took me in, which I am so thankful for them. But they also had connected me to a Heart for Heart or someone like that. Actually, the detective that actually got me into the newspaper is the one that helped me get this car. And these people, they get like junk cars and fix them up. And they was like, I fixed up a 1991 Windsor, and if you want it, minivan, we can give it to you. It broke down a few months later, but still, it worked. It was something. And so I was like, so the detective was like, well, the CPS lady was like, well, and then a week after that, you had a car, and then a week after that, you had a place to stay. So, April, we're just closing your case. There's nothing.
That's great.
Nothing there, and I could remember just hanging up and just busting out crying and thanking God, because I'm like, I didn't know that situation almost made me lose my kids, and for God to protect me and give them that type of heart to be understanding of my situation I was like, it only had to be God.
They could have just gone by the law and been like, all right,
Yeah, who's going to bypass the law like that? Like it had to be God. So
yeah. Now you obviously have a strong faith that guides you now and it guided you then. What was your background in church? When did you come to know Jesus, and like what was?
Well, my background, I come from a family of like just church people.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those, they went to church, but they still lived a whole different lifestyle type of thing.
Yeah.
But I was kind of sort of just really raised into church. But I would say I guess it started when I was younger, because I went missing when I was 6. No one could find me, and everyone's like, "What's going on?" My grandma was there, told me the story, and next thing you know, a few hours later,
were you like Jesus at the temple and listening?
I'm getting dropped off by the church bus at home. So they told me that, and I'm like, wow. Yeah. But
straight up like Jesus when his family's looking
now
for
that
him.
I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, straight up like Jesus. See, Jesus, we twinsing. But but I guess it started that young. But I would say, as I was a teenager, with my friends, even in high school, I was known as the Christian girl, per se. Even my friends, we all went to church with each other. And I baptized myself. I chose to get baptized when I was 13.
When you were 13?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when I would say I've been in church for a very long time, but my faith was just, it was more of a like, I wouldn't say like it was just made to do so, because at first it was. But now that I look back, a lot of my church things that I did, it was so strong in church in high school that if I got grounded, I didn't get grounded from school or because I didn't go anywhere or do anything. I got grounded from church.
Here's what I'll tell you. That is, as a youth pastor, that's a pet peeve of mine. It's like, don't ground. I understand that like youth group and church is supposed to be good and it's fun and we have fun, but don't ground your kid from like the one like really good influence that you want them to follow.
They grounded me from that influence. They're like, because that's the only place I had fun at. Like I was a geek, and but that was when I got in trouble or anything like that, because I was in like the plays at church, choir, the mime team, the dance team. I was on the mime team.
April Parks. What is the mime team?
The mime team is
exactly what it sounds like.
Yes, when they paint their face, it's all white in the face, and you have your white gloves on. And you miming.
So it's kind of like a dance team in a way. Mm-hmm. So you do it to music or whatever.
Yeah, you should look it up too. I'm telling you, it's like it's
I'm
a
just
culture.
Imagining a group of mimes just.
And it is. To think about it. Yes, it
Holy
is.
Crap,
Literally like
dude.
the mimes putting their hands up to the box, and that's how it was.
Oh my gosh.
And you're just dancing.
What? To what? Just like recorded music?
Recorded music, and it's like you're making the face. Your face has to be painted because you have to, like, if you're crying or if you're happy, and it's like you're dancing and doing facial expression at the same time. Yes.
Dude, I gotta look these up.
Please look it up.
Do you have pictures of you on the mime team?
I will try to look for it.
Please find those.
I will try to look for it because it was fun. It was fun. But I would look for it.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Sorry, you were saying
I
got lost in the mime team.
You're fine.
So you're very involved in your church doing all kinds of stuff, is what you're saying, at a young age.
Yes, I was. Even in choir, I was steadfast in choir. I think I even have videos of those too. But I don't know. I would say I gravitated to church a lot because it was a loving environment.
Yeah.
Stuff that I didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was either church or school. Stay away from home type of thing. Yeah. It's like people at church showed me love, showed me care, like would ask me questions about myself, things like that, and stuff I didn't get home. And I love my family. Now that I look back with what I've been through, I look back with a different lens, as in understanding.
Yeah. And
I don't blame anybody or anything that happened back then.
That's the perspective of a healed person.
Yeah. So I look at growing up, I love them now, and I don't blame them for anything. We all have our sins that we're going through, but growing up, being told, I had ADHD, so I was told that I was stupid, dumb, and I would be nothing like my mom. My mom was sent to prison. And a lot of people don't know that, but my mom was in prison for murder. And yes.
How old were you when that happened?
She went when I was about 8 or 9.
Holy cow.
And got out when I was pregnant with my first child. So, dang. Yeah. She was very damaging, I would say. She really looked out for herself. Yeah. Put me and my brothers and sisters in a lot of situations. But I would say I was more of and I can see it now, even though my big brother and my little sister never wanted to be around them, I'll be like, hey, I can go around my mom, or I can be around my dad, because, they're my parents. I seen the darkness, but I was like, it's okay. They're my parents. I could be, but there's situations where they put me in, because, again, I love my family, but I had the one that adopted me when I was born, which was my aunt at the time, is that she gave me away when I was 3. Yeah. And to me, she was, and it's not like I never seen this person again after that. No, this person was in my life constantly after that, and had her own 2 kids, for which she would literally, and again, I'm healed from that, but she would literally just be like, come visit me every now and then I had to start calling her aunt instead of mom. So it was like a switcheroo, but to me, it wasn't anything different. But calling her every year until I was about 20, I shared my birthday with her daughter, which is 2 years younger with me, every year. And imagine every year, my birthday is 25th, hers April 24th. And every year, I am sharing a birthday party with her, and everyone's coming to the birthday party and like, oh, it's your birthday? I didn't know it's your birthday. I thought it was her birthday. Oh, here's $5.
You're the afterthought.
Here's $1. And when they sing a happy birthday, her name is on the birthday cake. A table full, and I'm a kid. Like, money doesn't mean anything to me. It's like a table full of gifts. That's cool, but yeah, but even my aunt would sometimes be like, oh, I forgot it's your birthday. Oh, and because my birthday tend to always end up being on a Saturday mostly, so her birthday parties were usually on my birth date instead of her birthday. But just her always like making it seem like, and she would sometimes be like, hey, you want to live with me? Pick me up every summer. It was weird every summer, and then change your mind like, oh, well, it's in the summer, take you back to your grandma's house type of thing. So it was a rough patch growing up. Yeah,
it's kind of back and forth. Not really sure. No, not a lot of stability.
Yeah, and then I was with my grandmother that would constantly find her own sins, and she had already raised 3 generations, so she was very bitter and sad and angry in life, and she took it out on people that she could. And at that time, I was the scapegoat. I was if my sister or my big brother had special ed, so autistic, and my little sister was just my little sister, and I was a middle child. So if anything went wrong, it was my fault. Anything happened, it was my fault. April, you're a demon child. April, you are going to be nothing but like your mom, because it's my dad's mom. And you'll be nothing like, you're just going to be like your mom. Your mom was manipulative and demonic, and you're going to be the same way. You're stupid, you're dumb. And it was just a lot of growing up with that. And then, so like I said, gravitated to church. People they were loving there. And so then I would try to get closer in with my parents. My dad, even though my mom went to prison, my dad was in and out of prison as well, but he was on drugs. So if anybody I was close to, it was my dad at the time. And but again, he kept getting locked up, so couldn't have too much of a relationship there.
Either.
Yeah. So I ended up I guess my grandmother and my mom had like a court ordered type of thing going on with visits that we had to mandatory have visits with my mom in Greensville, Texas. My grandmother, I lived in Dallas, Texas, but my mom had lived in Greensville, Texas, where I was born at the time. And it was a constant going back and forth there. And like I said, my mom was very selfish, manipulative, and put us in a lot of bad situations. And that's when I would say, age between, it had to be some age between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
Because I remember 8 and 9, I wasn't around that much anymore. But between 4 and 7, basically I was sexually assaulted by her brother at that time. So it was, and then it was crazy because it's not like I was one of those kids that tried to keep it to herself at first. I did go. I told my grandmother, not the one in Texas, that I lived with, but my mom's grandma. And, they were like, oh, that didn't happen, and in my mind, I'm guessing in my mind, I'm thinking like, at that time, as I was younger, this is a grown man. But as I look back, I'm thinking like he was a teenager at the time. But she was like, oh, he's going to get a spanking and this and that. Like, this is a...
Yeah, like that fixes it.
Yeah, 17-year-old boy, I'm guessing. And they were just like, and then got locked up in a room. She locked me in a room and told me that if I told anybody that I'm not going to be able to eat, anything like that. So for a few hours, it was like, this is a grown-up, I'm a child. If she doesn't believe me, who's going to believe me?
Yeah.
If I told 2 people so far and nothing good came of it.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to believe me, no one's going to believe me. But my sister was in certain situations, and there's other family that have certain situations that when I said what happened, they know that to be true.
Yeah.
So,
Geez, April, your childhood is wild. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because you're just a kid. With the adults in your life who should be bringing some sense of stability are just not able to see outside themselves to provide that for you.
Yeah.
How do you? Because who I sit across from right now, you would know that. No, and I don't think it's because you just buried it so deep that you ignore it. So how do you heal from something like what you've gone through?
Man,
and that may be too big of a question to.
No, to be honest, that's where I felt God was involved, because for some reason, even to this day, even my aunt would say it, and I had this nurturing, forgiving personality, spirit about me that people seem to gravitate to, and I didn't hold anything in I thought I didn't until I got older. But I would literally just say that it was okay even when it wasn't. But I would think about other people and how they felt, and first I strived to do anything and everything so they could see me as important. Marching band, choir, ROTC, basketball. I did everything, perfect attendance in school, everything to get any and everybody's attention. But I would say God kept on sending certain people in my life that I could see now, that in the darkness I would have been consumed if some of these people didn't come into my life. Yeah. And one of those very important people that came into my life at the time when I was 12 in mid-darkness was I was in the Big Brother and Big Sister program. Yeah. I really loved them when they hoped to be a part of that. But I was in a Big Brother and Big Sister program, and I had this big sister named Laura. And she introduced me to a whole new life. Like, she took me to the zoo for the very first time.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Yeah, she brought me my camera. She she took me skating, and she wasn't just even though you're supposed to only spend once a week with the child, she's like 2 or 3 times.
She's
like
in,
no, and she only had one daughter that was like way older than me. That was like in college or something at the time.
Yeah,
and she was this. I will never forget her personality. She was this 50-year-old woman, but you would never guess she was spunky. She's redheaded, spunky, with a Charger, Mustang. Her dream car. She told me about her Mustang that she
usually
had.
I thought like the like big brothers and big sisters are usually younger than that.
You would think so too, but I think some of them
Let's go.
They said,
hey,
I mean, she had the life. Like, she was very full of life, and she was my big sister. Usually, you're supposed to have like a time period. She was my big sister ever since then until I graduated high school, like until I actually moved. Actually, until I was about 13 or 14. I remember her breaking down, crying, telling me that she was like, she had finally found a love, and she was like been without love for a very long time, years. I would say 5+ years. So she really didn't have somebody, but she met somebody she could click with, an artist that was from Louisiana that was living in Texas at the time, but he wanted to move back to Louisiana, and she was like, I'm not going to go if you don't want me to. Like, I don't want to leave you. And
wow, that's big.
As a 14-year-old, this bright light wants to leave, and this is like, she introduced me to different types of music. Like, a lot of people wouldn't know, but I'm into rock and roll and alternative music and things like that because she kind of introduced that to me.
Let's go.
And she's like, I love me some guitars. I mean, electric, some drums. I love it all. Yeah. And she was, she would go to my teacher parent conferences when no one else would go with me. Wow. And hear this bright light in my life telling me she doesn't want to leave me, but she's in love with this dude. And I'm just like, Laura, go. Yeah. You don't need my permission or anything like that. You deserve to be happy. And she moved to Louisiana, and I lost her a few years ago to cancer. Wow. She fought breast cancer, and then died after surviving breast cancer, she died. The cancer traveled to the lungs. So she ended up losing to the fight, but she was loved by a lot of people. Yeah. So what was her name? Laura.
Laura, God bless Laura. Yeah. And how powerful to have someone come along like that and be a consistent presence in your life, give you some of that stability that you needed to help heal in a lot of ways. Gosh, yeah,
it did.
It's beautiful. And then for you to be like, yeah, go, even though I need this in my life, you go. Man,
it wasn't easy, but she was happy, and I'm like, that's not. And I'm like, of course, to me, it didn't. I'm not going to say outrightly she's asking me for my permission, but at the same time, it's like the thing she was saying, I don't want to leave you, and this and that. I want to give her a clear conscience that it was going to be okay. Yeah. I was going to be okay. Not to worry about me, because she knew my situation like very hard, and she fought. She even got in an argument with my grandmother once, but she fought with every might for me all the time. Even when she moved to Louisiana, I'm always getting happy birthday calls. Even as cool. I'm taking care of my own child right now. Yeah. And she's still
there.
Like, this is they even moved the funeral all the way to Texas so I could attend to it. Wow. And her daughter and everyone even had me wanting me to speak, even to stand up. Like, they were, her daughter and her husband and family, like, that's how it showed me how much she loved me, for them to even be like, we want to make sure you can make it and you can come. Yeah. And even though I didn't get to make it I didn't even make it until throwing up the balloons, because my ex-husband kept the car keys away from me because he didn't want me to go. He didn't want me to leave the house. So I ended up coming late, and I was so hurt by that, that I didn't even get to speak when they wanted me to, because again, my ex-husband was very abusive at that time. So trying to run out to get there. But it was, and then there were other teachers here and there that would be like, I'm into theater plays a lot, and it's because my science teacher, she took me to my first Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, cool.
And into an Anne Frank performance. So there was like people God would put in their heart to just like point me out all the time, like, and I would be like, why am I the one going to this theater arts thing with you and stuff like that? And teachers that were like, hey, I want to take you get your hair done or something like that. So it's like certain people in my life just pop out of nowhere to help me. And I tried to get out of, like I said, I was in this big into the school thing, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but
you're fine.
Big into this school thing. And again, I'm just trying to put out the point, there is no reason for me to smile right now.
Yeah.
And to this day, like, I don't know, the devil was on 0 to 100 in my life for some reason I could not understand. But even I chose to leave and kind of be homeless at 13 and live with my cousins because I had got into, my big brother and my little sister were both in magnet schools. Yeah. Magnet schools in Texas are like these high elite schools that you usually pay for unless you get like sponsored. Yeah. And so they were in these elite schools, and I'm like, Longfellow gave me letters, and I was in band, and they were like, you can come and perform. I was going to take a spot for a trombone. I was in marching, jazz, and concert band.
That's funny.
And
a trombone?
I was like, trombone.
Oh, okay, girl.
I did trombone for 6+ years. And I was like, I was ecstatic. I was like, first, we missed my first interview. They only give you 2 chances. Yeah. We had to reschedule my first interview because my grandmother didn't want to get up.
Oh, jeez.
But she got up to take my sister when she went, because my sister got into magnet school for choir, and my oldest brother got into magnet school. He was being autistic, but he was an artist. He could draw, sketch, anything that he could look at, build trucks and cars from aluminum foil. Wow. Like, he was amazing. But and now it's my turn. So I'm like, she didn't want to take me. So they rescheduled. And finally, this time, I'm like, we're going to do it. We can get there. Like I told you, my dad, but also my aunt I was surrounded by people on drugs. My grandmother was softy for people, broken. And basically, my aunt stole the car. And I didn't get to go to Longfellow Middle School because I didn't get to go to my interview because the car was stolen.
Dude, where's your aunt? I'm going to find her right now. Goodness.
So at that point, I'm like, it's the last straw for me. Yeah. I can't take it anymore. I am gone. And I'm like 13 years old. I am gone. I'm not doing this anymore. And I ended up moving to Denton, Texas, like just 30 miles away. With my older cousins, and I spent the last 4 years with them all the way through high school. And I would say a lot of changes and things, like even my style, my clothes style came from them. My just wanting to
formative
be
years,
different. Like they did shape me in some way and helped me get like. They didn't have to. My cousin had like 3 kids of her own. Wow. And she had, she had her own life, and she, to me, wasn't that older either. And it's like my first cousin. So she took me in, and it was like a win-win. I didn't go anywhere really much. Yeah. So it's like she had a living babysitter, and I had someone that's willing to like show me. I just basically able to be the type of independent on my feet because of my 2 cousins that took me in at the time. That taught me how to, work, how to even care or love, how to take care of myself, how to be different. We did have bumpy roads here and there, but I wouldn't say it was. Most of my memories is from my life with them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, the thing you said a minute ago of you just have no reason to smile right now, but you do, but you are smiling. It all that takes more shape. The more of your story I hear,
It does.
I understand why you say that, and it breaks my heart. What you've gone through, what you've experienced. One thing that you shared a couple times that I love, and I hope it's the reality for a lot of people, is that the church was a light in your life. The church was a place of safety, and I hope New Story, and I hope the church in general can continue to be that for people. And sometimes you don't realize the impact you may be having on someone. That I wonder if those people back then, when you started going to that church when you were younger, if they knew everything about your background, that you coming to church was a like a rescue moment for you. Like it's the place you went to escape.
Yeah.
And I wish you didn't have to, but I'm thankful the church was there, because that's what it's supposed to be.
I am too.
Yeah. Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you about in your story as well is you sit across from me. You have a lot more melanin in your skin than I do.
Yeah.
Is New Story the first more predominantly white church that you've been to?
It is first, yes. Predominantly.
So that can be scary in and of itself.
Look, it was the most scariest. I imagined me in the parking lot. The first day I came, I think she told me 10:30, but I came like a little early. I was there probably in the parking lot around 10:15, and I'm sitting in the car, and I'm looking at people arrive and go inside, and I'm just like,
white.
I have not seen anyone of color. Like, even though I see colors now, I didn't see anyone.
Yeah.
And I was like, I said, God, I'm second guessing this moment right now. Like, are you sure? And then my spirit again was just like, I'm here. I'm going to go in. And I had no reason to come into your church after seeing all that, because it was hard for me when I moved down here, when I was on my own, trying to get homes and homes. I didn't even have an eviction at that time on anything. And I was trying to get into apartments and things like that. I had people literally tell me that they would talk to me on the phone, and they would see that I had income and everything like that. They thought it was a great fit, and they'll meet me, and they would be like, oh, I didn't get any call back or anything like that. But I finally, 2 people out of everyone was very honest with me, and it was heartbreaking, but at least they were honest. She told me, it was a he. He told me that he's like, I'm very sorry, but I just feel that, you being a single mom, and everything like that, and it's like, I don't know if you'll end up on Section 8 or anything like that. I don't know what would happen. Yeah. So we're going to have to go a different choice. Then I had another person tell me that she didn't outright say that I don't rent to black people, but she just like, she said, your color tends to, have more issues when it comes down to keeping up rent. That's what she said. So I had already had a little. I think
that might be illegal.
I already had little run-ins with them. So I'm sitting in this parking lot watching you guys go in. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I've already dealt with many things, so I don't know. But I was like, you know what? I'm here. Me and my girls we'll go in. And as soon as I walked to the entrance, and the door opened, and I look up. This is like this 6'3", man with a beard down his chest, and with what is that called? Overalls.
You saw Big John Foley.
And I'm like, I'm thinking like
the scariest person for you to see.
I'm 5'1", so you could imagine. So I'm looking 5'1.5", kind of too sometimes. And I'm looking up at this dude, and then all of a sudden he put this big old smile on his face and like, "Hey, welcome to News Story. You're new here?" And I'm just like, "Yeah."
Oh man, if you can imagine, he is a large, bald white guy with tattoos, saved out of biker gangs.
Look like a biker gang dude.
He's saved out. Yeah, his nickname is Big Nasty. Like that's who welcomes you.
That's the first person to welcome me. When I say I still had a reason to run,
dude.
I still had a reason. I'm like, I can still run.
Dude, but that man, he's a teddy bear.
He is a teddy
he's
bear.
So sweet.
It's one of the most kind person. Even after that, when I would come, he would make sure go out his way to say hi.
Oh man.
And I won't forget. But that was my first experience walking
funny.
into the church, is bumping into him when he opened the door. And then I go into the congregation and sit down, and everyone was so inviting and hi and how you doing? Like it was very fun. I got looks like people were interested in me, like looking like interested. But and then I had a lot of smiles as well. So it's just like, oh yay, a new person here. So I was like, I'm looking at everyone's face, and everyone was very loving and open.
Yeah.
And then here comes Aaron. Like,
yeah. It was if you're newer to News Story, former pastor here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, I would say, even after Aaron, what really made me stick with this church was truly the people that chased after me, even when I said no, I didn't need help. Like I had people like Jen and Becky when I first got here that extremely opened their arms to me, extremely, like they literally had to chase after me. Jen chased me. Like she's like, no, you're gonna let me help you.
No, she is a bleeding heart, and I'm extremely compassionate woman. So very thankful for her heart. I can learn a lot from her, and I have learned a lot from her on that front. She does not give up on people easily.
She does not. And I would come say, no, I don't need help. I don't need help. You don't need help? No, I don't need help. And then,
well, I'm going to help you anyway.
She's going to help me. And I'm just like, at first, I didn't know how to accept it. Because out of all that, out of my whole life, you can see that I had to fend for myself. I had to take care of myself. I couldn't depend on anybody. So now here's someone saying they're going to help me. Like, you can't help me. I can help myself. But thank you for asking. But no, that wasn't going to go like that until God was like, oh, you don't need anybody, huh? I got flat down on my feet, lost everything out of nowhere. And all because of a crazy landlord lady that when she found out that I was in church, she was, I don't know if y'all ready for this conversation, but basically she was just like, she was very nasty with me because she's like, oh, I bet you judge me because of what I choose to do. And she was like, she was a lesbian. So she was very hard on me already, but when she found that out, for some reason, she was dead on every...
You're definitely against me because of this. Yeah,
and so since you're against me, I'm going to make it... And I only know that it's not because of guessing. This is what she said. You're like, you have a problem. You guys, your type have a problem with my lifestyle. Yeah. So, she made checks at home, things like that. But basically... I couldn't take any more of the bullying with the landlord, so I was like, I'm not gonna renew my lease. I'm gonna find something else. And I was like, didn't have no way to. I was like, I gotta get out of here. But finances were too great, taking care of 3 kids on my own, and boom, here comes Jen. It's like, oh, now can I help you?
Still here.
Can I help you now? Yeah. And she helped me through, and Becky was there through, and financially, emotionally, spiritly, they came through. And then Trish as well came through. I had fainted and broke my back or something, and I ended up in a hospital for
You broke your back or something?
I did. I couldn't
you just say that in passing?
I crawled to the car. I don't know why I couldn't get 411, but basically, and Tish and Becky them showed up, and Tish took my kids for like a week almost while I was on bed rest till I can get better. It was They showed up
Yeah.
and their compassion, and this is how God works. Because usually I'm like, and then now, this is before my heart got into a real good place, but now I'm like, okay, well, these people did all this stuff for me at this church, then I got to do something now.
Yeah.
I got to serve.
Gotta repay.
I got to repay it. Like, I don't have money to repay, but there's a lot of other things that I could do to repay it. So, and then I really believe that's what God used to put my foot into serving. Like, he knows my heart. He understood, like, nah, April's stubborn. I need to work a little harder on this one. Like I've been doing all my life. And so I was like, I'm going to help and I'm going to serve and do all that I can here at the church. But in doing that, my heart was opened. I started learning a lot of things. Yeah. I started growing. I would say in the last 5 years, I grew more than I would have just being on my own. Like, I have friends now. I have a loving life and can depend on people. People can depend on me. And I'm like, it was just being there, like having it was also learning. Like I'm like looking at things in different perspective now. Like before it would be always like, oh, someone did this, someone did that to hurt me type of thing. But now it was more, I started looking at people, cause I didn't talk much, but I would stare and look and listen. I did that ever since I was younger. That's how I was able to just really read people's mannerism, body language and things like that. But I would just look and watch people in the most purest way. And instead of looking at things in a negative way, I would literally be like a dog, like putting his head to the side, like learning, like, okay, instead of me getting mad about what someone else did, what did I do? Or what can I do? What is my reaction to this? What can I do that I can control the situation? Yeah. And it took me time to learn how to react in certain situations in a better way than what I was used to of reacting to. When I say 360, I was very angry growing up after everything. And then I was a boxer. I had to become a boxer for that reason. So I'm like, I don't like hitting or hurting people, but if people, we're both hurting each other. They give me permission to hit them. So we're both boxing. And so it was a boxer. So, but back to this, but basically learning how to change my own perspective, like and my character is what was transformed, not anything else. It was the biggest transformation since I've been in church was my character. Yeah. And becoming like it just
become more like Jesus, hopefully.
Becoming more like Jesus. And the reason I say that is because, and this is no way, shape, or form to brag, but it's just to show how kindness, like I would have never done it before, but this is like, I went to Africa 3 years ago, remember, and I ended up getting stranded there. But I was in one of the village with one of the ladies, and she was like the mom. But this woman would get up at 4 in the morning, cooking, cleaning, taking care of everything and everybody. Yeah. And down there, like the way that you look and things like that was your status. Yeah. So it's like and I don't mean in a bad way, it's just how they said it. They treated me like some queen or goddess there. Like they hand and feet would literally, like when it comes down to making my food, to making sure my clothes are clean, that I was clean, that I had anything, they will provide that. Yeah. And they will be like, and they would tell me not to talk because I couldn't talk down there. So they would tell me not to talk to people. And so me not opening my mouth is because I was from the United States, and they were like, you don't want nobody to know that. So they were like kind of my spokesperson. Sorry. And so, and so now this lady and all her family, her children, and everyone is just, I see this woman, this little woman, like sweating, barely getting through the day, barely sitting down, but smiling at everyone. And like energy, looked depleted, and her kids just yelling at her, fussing at her if she didn't do this right, and people telling her what to do and stuff. And I think it was like maybe 7 or 8 at night, and I just couldn't take it anymore. In front of everybody, I went and got a bucket of water. I sat this woman down, and I told her, put your feet in the water. And I washed her feet with my bare hand. Yes, I did. I got soap and water, washed this woman's feet, God is my witness, with my bare hands, and let everyone see. And I told everyone, she is tired.
Yeah.
I was like, let me cook. Let me do something. She didn't let me. I will tell you that right now. I'm going to tell you. She wouldn't let me pick up anything.
Yeah.
But it was after that, I could see the day after, now her daughter's helping her cook the next day. Someone's helping her clean up the rooms. And it was just like, thank you, God. If God used me at that moment, and I didn't think, I didn't do anything, I just moved.
Yeah.
And I was like, and what's going on in my head is like, what would they have done for me at New Story at the time? And it's like,
that's cool.
People, they don't realize, like Jen, them don't realize the door that they opened by helping me and making me like help people. Like, I was already loving to help people, but now it's just more like anybody and everybody. What can I do for you? I don't want anything back. You don't have to worry about anything. Just what can I help you with?
Yeah, and that's beautiful. We're getting short on time, so I'm gonna wrap us up here in just a moment. But I'm very thankful, and I know that not everything here has been smooth sailing and perfect. But I am incredibly thankful for how you've been cared for, and the result now is you do the same for other people. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what we want to see here is people more and better followers of Jesus. Someone become a follower of Jesus and become a better follower of Jesus. So it's
in the name.
That's it's really cool.
But regardless of what what I did go through, little things that happen here and there, I always even look at the perspective that regardless, this is my family and I love them, and it's like, if we had to find a way to grow with each other, we just have to do that. Yeah. And it was, there was time that, hearts break and things like that, but that's what family do. They go through ups and downs with each other, and they figure it out.
Yep, through thick and thin. April, I'm thankful for your story. All the messy pieces that it is. It's really cool to hear how God even used those things to turn you into the person you are. I'm thankful for your voice here. Because you're part of our worship team. You're part of the kids worship stuff too. And those are just a couple of things. I know you do a lot of different things around here. So I'm just thankful to have you here. To have you a part of a New Story. I have Fam Jam with students tonight here in just a few minutes. The door's open, so
I'm seeing the kids.
I know. I saw.
I was like, yep, it's time to go.
Somebody. Door's open at 6, so they're a little early. I'm gonna, I'll get on them. But thank you for coming up here. And I'm sure it won't be the last one, because I feel like we could do a few more on your whole story.
No, you're fine.
Cow,
there's a whole lot I haven't went by, but whenever y'all ready.
Yeah, and I just hope that if you're listening, that it's encouraging to you and blesses you as well. And God bless Jen and Becky for their impact and what their selfless giving towards you. I'm just that stuff.
Just trust God. If anything in my story that you get is trust God and understand that He always has a plan for you, that it is never, ever the end of your story if you trust in God and full-heartedly and just choose Him for yourself. Read the Bible. Look for Him. Don't take other people's words for it. Look for Him yourself and build that relationship and see what happens. Yeah.
We may not know the outcome, but we know that what we're going through is for His glory and for our good. Amen. Somehow.
Yes, it is.
But for now, I just want to thank you for joining us. This has been the Equip Podcast, equipping you to live out your Christian life as you faithfully love God and love others with truth and grace. So now let's go do it.
Amen.